Hello and good day to all you wonderful folks out there. The found footage craze has pretty much died out in popular horror films, so is it time to start to get nostalgic feelings about the format? With the new Paranormal Activity movie being recently released, I figured it would be a perfect time to check out one Paranormal Activity entry that I had up until this point never watched. I am Torstein from CinemaTerror, and this is the forgotten sequel, Paranormal Activity 2 Tokyo Night.
Paranormal Activity 第2章
Paranormal Activity 2 Tokyo Night came out the same year as the American Paranormal Activity 2, so Tokyo Night is looked at as a sidequel, which is the first time I've heard of that definition. We meet the Japanese student Haruka Yamano, who is returning to Tokyo in a wheelchair after being involved in a car accident in the United States. She is recovering at her family home, which she shares alone with her brother Koichi, as their father is always away for work assignments. Shortly after Haruka has returned, she and Koichi start to notice weird things happening in their home. This sparks an interest in Koichi, who starts to document everything to try to catch any evidence of the supernatural on film. While the strange occurrences seem small and harmless at first, they slowly escalate more and more, causing the initial curiosity of the siblings to transform into genuine fear for their lives.
本当そういうのムカつくんだけど、私のため？自分が楽しんでんじゃん。
楽しんでないし。
ムカつくもう本当やめてください。
勝手にすればじゃあ。
じゃあ入院します。
The idea of taking the paranormal activity worldwide seems like a great decision to me, and I would definitively have watched an Italian, Korean, German, or even Scandinavian take on it, if they were created during the greater days of the franchise. Starting something like that in Japan at the time did also make a lot of sense, since this was still in the day of the J-horror boom, and no one had a better reputation of bringing ghost stories to the big screen than the Japanese. Sadly, I must say that I'm disappointed in what director and screenwriter Toshikazu Nagae was able to come up with here. Tokyo Night could easily have changed a few things with the story and released it as a Japanese remake of the first Paranormal Activity. There's little creativity at play here, and they even reuse several of the scares from the successful American counterpart. So don't go into this with any expectation of the distinctive J-horror creepiness that you might otherwise be hoping for. Most of the time is spent dicking around with Koichi and Haruka, played by Aoi Nakamura and Noriko Aoyama. I would recommend eating or having dinner ready before watching this, as there are plenty or rather too many scenes where we see them just sit and discuss what is going on while eating some delicious looking Japanese food.
何がいんの？どこ？
It's hard to get sold on a found footage movie like this when you don't feel or care for the characters, and that's what I experienced with this one. They are not bad people or even terrible performers, they just come off as too generic. Haruka sits in a wheelchair, that's her entire character, and Koichi is a nerdy guy with an eye for technology, and that's all he has to offer. So the only thing you can look forward to is the scare scenes. And to be fair, I guess that's something you can also say about the majority of the American Paranormal Activity movies. But that doesn't help when you're sitting through this one. I thought there were some creepy aspects to Tokyo Night, especially a possessed Haruka walking eerily around with the two-leg cast, and also some of the dual night shots of the room was able to create some tension. Other than that, the rest falls flat, and will not stand out from all of the other movies we observed during the most popular time of the found footage subgenre. There is a small attempt to connect this with the American storyline, but it adds little to both this movie and the overall Paranormal Activity franchise. In fact, the future American sequels would contradict this one, making Tokyo Night a sort of bad sheep of the series that I no longer consider canon. The most fascinating aspect of Paranormal Activity 2 Tokyo Night is how they were able to get a huge franchise name attached to this. I'm not sure if I ever heard of an American studio licensing out a title like this to foreign indie filmmakers without having any involvement in the production or distribution. If it didn't have the popular name attached to it, then I doubt it would be remembered by anyone today or that it would have even have been made. Perhaps I would have found it more interesting 10 years ago when the found footage genre still felt a bit fresh, and I can only recommend this to those that do not mind another generic haunted house story filmed with a shaky digital camera. It's not a terrible movie compared to some of the lesser Paranormal Activity sequels, but it also has so little new to offer that I would rank it pretty low if I were to rank the entire franchise. Paranormal Activity 2 Tokyo Night gets a disappointing score of only 2 out of 5. That was my thought on this one. What are yours? How does this rank compare to the American Paranormal Activities? And what are some good fan footage J-horror that more people need to check out? Let me and others know in the comment section below. I haven't covered a lot of found footage horror on my channel yet, but I do have a review up on the more recent South Korean effort Gunjiam Haunted Asylum. So if you prefer your horror movies to be filmed on digital handheld cameras, then check that video out. I hope you enjoyed this one. Remember to subscribe, like, and whatever else you can do, and I'll see you again for more videos on all kinds of horror movies here on CinemaTerror. Thank you.